Yes, people, I hope you are doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome back to lecture number 4 of Corporate and Economic Laws. People, quickly will go through whatever we have studied till now. All right. Till now, we have studied what is an IPO. Number 2, who are the players in IPO. Number 3, who can think of an IPO. Number 4, who are the intermediaries. And number 5, eligibility criteria. That is what we are studying right now. Okay. Under eligibility criteria, people, we have studied 4 conditions till now. We have studied 4 conditions till now. Number 1 was net tangible assets should be more than 3 crores in the preceding 3 financial years. Number 2, pre-tax operating average profit should be minimum 15 crores in the last 3 out of 5 preceding financial years. Number 3, net worth, that is minimum it should be 1 crore in the 3 preceding financial year. And the last is name change criteria. Supposing if a company has changed its name in the last 12 months, the revenue, from that revenue, 50%, more than 50% of that revenue should come from the new name of the company. All right. And then we studied, even if a company does not follow these 4 rules, it can still list its equity shares in the stock market. How? The answer to this is it should have 75% of its shares subscribed by qualified institutional buyer, plus the price should be set by book building process. All right, I will repeat it again, people. Number 1 criteria is net tangible assets. Number 2 is pre-tax average operating profit. Number 3 is net worth. Number 4 is name change criteria. If the company does not satisfy the 4 conditions, it should have 75% of its shares subscribed by qualified institutional buyer, plus the price should be set to book building process. We have learned till now in the last lecture. Let's move forward, people. Yes. Okay. In this lecture, people, we will learn another 5 conditions. These were the main conditions, people. These were the main conditions. Next is other conditions which also needs to be satisfied. Other conditions. I have highlighted this. I will tell you when I will explain this. All right. Okay, people. The next condition is convertible debt securities. What does it mean is IPO means people offering shares to the public for the first time on stock exchange. Clear hai? Offering shares to the public for the first time on stock exchange. Now the question is, supposing if I list debt securities which can be convertible into equity shares, will I be still considered as listing my shares in an IPO? Did you get my question, people? Supposing if I list debt securities means convertible debt securities. All right. If I list convertible debt securities, can I still go for an IPO? The answer to this question is yes, people. The reason is debt securities means it's a type of loan that can be later converted into equity shares after a specific period of time. Supposing, let's understand this with an example. Shark Tank में एक participant आता है, Ashwini Grover से funding मांगता है. Okay. What Ashwini Grover does not believe in that business. Okay, so that is why he does not want to invest in equity shares, but he is willing to give it as a loan. The reason is loan is very safe compared to equity shares, because loan में Ashwini Grover will get interest timely. Okay, by the end of the tenure, he will also get the principal amount. So Ashwini Grover को कोई problem नहीं होगी until and unless the business is running well. A question is, what if the business expands by 10 times in just 2 years? What if the business expands by 10 times in just 2 years? Ashwini Grover will still get that interest and the principal amount. Okay, इसके अलावा उसको और कोई भी फायदा नहीं होगा. तो यहाँ पे आता है people convertible debt securities means Ashwini Grover को कोई भी भरोसा नहीं है बिजनेस में, but he is willing to give it as a loan. Investor क्या बोलता है? Ashwini Grover, you don't have to invest in equity shares. What we will do is we will give you debt, convertible debt securities. Supposing tomorrow if my business grows by 10 times, you can convert that loan into equity shares. Supposing if the business does not grow well, if the business collapses, you can obviously get your interest and principal amount back. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? I will again explain you ऐसे अच्छे से बताता हूँ आपको. Okay? ये है Ashneer Grover. He is investor. ये मांग रहा है फंडिंग. फंडिंग मांग रहा है बिजनेस एक्सपैंड करने के लिए. So there are two possibilities, people. Number one possibility is business will grow 10 times. The other possibility is business may collapse. Okay, let's say in 5 years time the business will either grow by 10 times or it will totally collapse. Okay, now he is asking for funding. Usko funding bhi chahiye, but at the same time he wants Ashwini Grover to invest in equity shares so that he can tell to the people that Ashwini Grover has invested in my company. He is also a part owner of the company. At the same time he will also get the expertise from Ashwini Grover. At the same time funding तो मिल रही है. So तीन चीजें इन्वेस्टर को मिल रहा है. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है? Priorities are two. Business will grow, business will collapse. अभी Ashwini Grover के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर देखेंगे ना people, Ashwini Grover does not want to invest in equity shares right now. Okay, Ashwini Grover बोलते हैं कि भाई I do not believe in your business, but I know there is a 50-50 probability कि तुम्हारा business आगे जाके grow हो सकता है. Okay, if he invests in equity shares and the business collapses, he will be at a complete loss. But if he gives loan, उसको profit इतना ही मिलेगा, उसको पैसा उतना ही मिलेगा जितना उसने लोन लिया था along with interest. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? Now Ashwini Grover wants to take a risk. उसको ज़्यादा smartly खेलना है. So what he does is he will tell the participant that, bro, why don't you issue convertible debt securities. इसका फायदा ये है people, इसका फायदा ये है अगर पार्टिसिपेंट ने कन्वर्टेबल डेट सिक्योरिटीज Ashwini Grover को दे दिया, okay, and if his business grows by 10 times, which means debt को और सिंपल भाषा में बोलता हूं, if you want to explain convertible debt securities to a 18-year-old, उसको आप कैसे समझोगे? Loan that can be convertible into equity shares. Okay, all right. So two possibilities: business will either grow by 10 times, business will collapse. डेट सिक्योरिटीज अगर दे दिया Ashwini Grover को, क्या होगा people? अगर बिजनेस 10 टाइम से ग्रो करता है, Ashwini Grover will convert that loan into equity shares and get ownership. Correct? If the business collapses, then he will obviously get his principal plus interest back. इससे क्या होता है दोस्तों? Until and unless Ashwini Grover does not convert the loan into equity shares, the equity or the ownership will not get diluted for that investor. Got it? Supposing if investor owns 100% ऑफ द कंपनी। अश्विन ग्रोवर ने स्टार्टिंग में ही अगर इक्विटी दे दिया तो इन्वेस्टर को 70%, अश्विन ग्रोवर को 30% मिलेगा। करेक्ट। इन्वेस्टर भी नहीं चाहता कि भाई आई डोंट, इन्वेस्टर ऑल्सो डज नॉट वांट टू डाइल्यूट हिज ओनरशिप। गॉट इट। इन्वेस्टर को भी ओनरशिप डाइल्यूट करना नहीं है, उसको पैसा चाहिए, अश्विन ग्रोवर का एक्सपर्टाइज चाहिए, एंड क्या चाहिए, ही वांट्स क्रेडिबिलिटी कि टुमारो आई कैन टेल इजीली दैट अश्विन ग्रोवर ओन्स अ पार्ट ऑफ माय कंपनी। ओके, सो तीन चीजों की वजह से इन्वेस्टर वांट्स टू अप्रोच अश्विन ग्रोवर। अभी इन्वेस्टर को डाइल्यूट करना नहीं इक्विटी, सो बेस्ट वे इज लोन दो दैट कैन बी लेटर कन्वर्टेबल इनटू इक्विटी शेयर्स। परफेक्ट। लोन से क्या होगा, इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट सब मिल जाएगा अश्विन ग्रोवर को। इफ द बिजनेस collapses, the business 10 times से grow हो गया, अश्विन ग्रोवर can easily convert into equity shares। अश्विन ग्रोवर का पार्ट ओनरशिप मिल गया, इन्वेस्टर को फंडिंग मिल गया, इन्वेस्टर को एक्सपर्टाइज मिल गया, एंड इन्वेस्टर को क्रेडिबिलिटी मिल गया। कल को जाके सबको बोल सकता है कि ब्रो अश्विन ग्रोवर ने मेरी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट किया है। So this is the advantage of convertible debt securities। convertible debt security में क्या क्या आता है, loans convertible into equity shares, debentures convertible into equity shares, और bonds convertible into equity shares। Debentures and bonds are very much similar to each other people in nature. The only difference is tenure may slightly vary. Otherwise both are exactly the same thing. All right. So this is the meaning of convertible debt securities. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take it, people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So my question is, IPO का मतलब ये है offering shares to the public for the first time on stock exchange. Now, अगर मैं convertible debt securities list करता हूं, that can be later converted into equity shares. Equity shares तो आ ही रहे हैं market में after a fixed period of time. But can I say that the company is still going for an IPO? The answer to is yes, people. A company can still list its convertible debt securities, provided it does not default in principal or interest repayments in the last 6 months. Last 6 months में कंपनी ने कोई भी डिफॉल्ट नहीं किया है फॉर द रिपेमेंट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल और इंटरेस्ट। अगर ये कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई करता है, then the company can list its debt securities. Clear है यहाँ तक? I am assuming people, your doubt, your query is getting clear. You are getting to know. You are understanding whatever I am teaching. If there is any doubt, please drop in the comment section. I will be happy to explain to you. All right. Convertible debt securities. We will just read it. All right. Convertible debt securities. So what the rule says is, people, a company may issue convertible debt instruments like convertible bonds in an IPO without first issuing equity shares or listing its stock. However, the company must not have defaulted on the payment of principal or interest for the last 6 months. The company issues bonds that can later be converted into shares. It does not need to issue equity shares first, but it must have a clean record of timely payments on its existing debt. कंपनी ने आज तक इक्विटी शेयर्स लिस्ट नहीं किया है ऑन स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, but for the first time it is listing its convertible debt securities. Convertible debt securities, loans that can be later converted into equity shares. Company is first time listing its convertible debt securities on stock exchange. Is it allowed? Can it go for an IPO? The answer to is yes. The question is, why is convertible so useful? Convertible debt security is so useful. The answer to that is flexible financing, people. It raises funds immediately without diluting ownership. Okay, Ashwin Grover को immediately ownership नहीं मिल रहा है. After 1 or 2 years period of time, depending on the instrument. Supposing the instrument says you can convert the loan into equity shares after 1 year or 2 years period of time. So 1 year, 2 years period तक it will be a loan, equity dilute नहीं हो रहा है. 2 years के बाद अगर investor is exercising that option of converting, तो equity dilute होगा. Otherwise, he can just withdraw his principal and interest back डाइल्यूट फिर भी नहीं होगा. ऑलराइट, until and unless the investor does not exercise that conversion option, equity will not get diluted. Next is market confidence. Investors feel assured because they have the flexibility to either convert to equity or remain debt holders. Ashwini Grover के पास दो option था. If the business expands by 10 times in just 2 years, Ashwini Grover के पास option है to convert into equity shares. If the business collapses, Ashwini Grover को obviously उसका interest and principal तो मिल रहा ही है. All right. Perfect people. I hope you are with me. Let's proceed to the next concept. Next concept is very, very easy, people. Minimum number of allottees should be 1000. If a company like Zomato is going for an IPO, minimum 1000 allottees तो होने ही चाहिए, people. अगर 1000 allottees से अगर कम है, then the IPO is considered to be a failed IPO. The rule says the issuer cannot allot shares in the IPO if the number of prospective allottees, people subscribing to the IPO, is less than 1000. If a company receives fewer than 1000 applications for its IPO, it cannot proceed with the allotment process, as the aim is to have a broad and diversified base of investors. Perfect. Till now, we have learned two rules. Number one is a company can list convertible debt securities in the IPO for the first time. It is allowed. Number two is minimum number of allottees should be 1000 or more. All right. Let's revise everything very quickly. Eligible conditions for an IPO: net tangible assets should be more than or equal to 3 years in the preceding 3 financial years. Number two, pre-tax average operating profit should be minimum 15 crores in the last 3 out of 5 preceding financial years. Number three, net worth should be minimum 1 crore in the last 3 preceding financial year each year. Number four is, if you have changed your name, the revenue you earned from the new name should be 50% of the total revenue earned from the last year. Perfect. The last is, if no condition is getting satisfied, you can still go for an IPO provided 75% of the shares are subscribed by QIB, the big players like mutual funds, LIC, insurance companies. All right. And remaining 25% can be given to the public. Public means retail investors or high net worth individuals. यहाँ तक clear है? Now today we studied another two things. Number one was a company can list its convertible debt securities on an IPO. Number two is minimum number of allottees should be 1000 or more. Perfect. Without wasting any time, people, let's move to the next concept. The next concept is no outstanding convertible securities. What this rule says is, people, when a company is going for an IPO, it should ensure that when a company is offering shares to the public for the first time, it should ensure that before going for an IPO, there are no outstanding convertible shares. अभी मैंने बात की थी convertible debt securities. यहाँ पे मैं बोल रहा हूँ convertible securities. Okay. The rule says no convertible securities should be outstanding before the IPO. The reason is, people, convertible debt securities में क्या क्या आता है? Warrant आता है, loan आता है, debentures आता है, इतने आते हैं. And loan, debenture, warrant, bonds. Okay. Now मैं कैसे समझाऊं? Okay. Perfect. Now, people, let's assume this is the timeline, people. 2025, 2023. 2023 में company name is, let's say, B&G Private Limited. B&G Private Limited ने ऑलरेडी अश्नीर ग्रोवर को क्या दिया, पीपल? कन्वर्टेबल कोई भी सिक्योरिटी, ओके, लेट्स से कन्वर्टेबल सिक्योरिटीज दिया है, लाइक वारंट्स, debentures or bonds that can be converted into equity shares after 2 years. Okay, condition is Ashwin Grover को convertible securities मिली है. Now convertible securities can include warrants. Warrants mean people, warrant is an instrument जहां पे for example Reliance is giving you a warrant. That means Reliance बोल रहा है आपको Reliance का price right now, let's assume the price of Reliance shares is ₹100. Reliance ने आपको वारंट दिया, वारंट बोल रहा है you can buy Reliance shares for ₹120 after 2 years. Reliance बोल रहा है आपको you can buy Reliance shares at ₹120 after 2 years. Okay, now after 2 years, two possibilities are there. 2 years के बाद Reliance का share can either be ₹200, ₹300, or it can be ₹50. Okay, now the Reliance shares is after 2 years ₹200 and आपको अंबानी ने बोला है कि आप ₹120 में शेयर खरीद सकते हो. आपको कितने रुपए का फायदा हुआ पीपल? ₹80 पर शेयर का फायदा हुआ. यहां पे आपको कितने रुपए का फायदा हुआ? ₹180 पर शेयर का फायदा हुआ if after 2 years Reliance का शेयर is ₹300. अभी what if after 2 years Reliance का शेयर प्राइस is ₹50? You have the option to buy the share at ₹120 or 50. Obviously you will buy for 150. So आप यहाँ पे ऑप्शन एक्सरसाइज नहीं करोगे, बट यहाँ पे आप करोगे एंड यहाँ पे आप करोगे बिकॉज यहाँ पे आपको फायदा हो रहा है. This is called as warrant. Warrant means giving you the authority to buy shares at predetermined price after a certain period of time, no matter वो शेयर का प्राइस क्या होगा after that certain period of time. All right. So this is called as warrants, people. Warrants. We are not going to learn anything without understanding, people. Okay, रट्टा मारना बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. एक चीज हम ध्यान से इन डिटेल पढ़ेंगे so that it will be a cake walk for you. The exams. कौन सा exams? Corporate and economic laws will be a cake walk for you. This is my promise to you. All right. Yes, people. So कहाँ थे हम लोग? हम लोग थे B&G प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में अश्विनी ग्रोवर को 2023 में 2000 sorry for the English people 2023 में अश्विनी ग्रोवर को they have given convertible securities which can include convertible warrants, convertible debentures, convertible bonds which can be later converted into equity shares after 2 years. Now अभी तक इन्होंने ऑप्शन एक्सरसाइज बिल्कुल भी नहीं किया पीपल. ऑलराइट, नाउ ही इज गोइंग फॉर एन आईपीओ. ठीक है, B&G प्राइवेट लिमिटेड इज गोइंग फॉर एन आईपीओ, गॉट इटसेल्फ लिस्टेड. शेयर का प्राइस इज ₹100. कितने शेयर्स लिस्ट हुए हैं? 1000 शेयर्स हैव बीन लिस्टेड. Let's say convertible securities के पास 500 shares. Now जैसे ही शेयर्स लिस्ट हो गए मार्केट में, अश्विनी ग्रोवर ने क्या किया पीपल? अश्विनी ग्रोवर ने अपना लोन और जो भी उसे कन्वर्टेबल सिक्योरिटीज मिला है, वारंट हो, डिबेंचर्स हो, बॉन्ड्स हो, he has converted it into equity shares. Okay, जैसे ही इसने इक्विटी शेयर में कन्वर्ट कर दिया मार्केट में और 500 शेयर्स आ गए, करेक्ट। जैसे ही नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स बढ़ गया पीपल, ऑब्वियसली डिमांड सप्लाई, जैसे ही नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स बढ़ गया द प्राइस पर शेयर विल गेट रिड्यूस्ड, है ना। प्राइस पर शेयर विल गेट इट, दे बेसिक डिमांड सप्लाई पीपल। इमीडिएटली कोई चीज का सप्लाई कुछ ज्यादा ही हो गया मार्केट में, immediately the price will get reduced, all right, but अगर price reduce हो गया people, then will it be disappointing factor for the investors who have purchased shares in an IPO? investors को क्या लगेगा, bro मैंने तो अगर I have purchased a share for 120 rupees and just because आशीष ग्रोवर ने अपना convertible securities convert कर दिया into equity shares, my share has got reduced to 80 rupees. Isn't this an injustice to the investors, people? The answer is yes, it's an injustice. To stop this injustice, people, ये rule बनाया, कौन सा rule बनाया? An issuer cannot make an IPO if it has outstanding convertible securities like warrants, convertible debentures or bonds, or any rights that would entitle someone to receive equity shares after the IPO. Amazing concept, people. Amazing concept. है ना? Example, if a company has issued convertible securities like warrants or convertible bonds that could be converted into shares after the IPO, it cannot proceed with the IPO until those securities are dealt with. Rule क्या बोल रहा है ना? Rule बोल रहा है, before the company goes into IPO, तुमको अश्विनी ग्रोवर को सब सेटल करना पड़ेगा, तुमको अश्विनी ग्रोवर को सेटल करना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद ही you can go for an IPO. This is what the rule says. Amazing rule, people. बहुत सोच समझ के इस rule को बनाया है. Amazing. Now let's understand why this rule. People notes है ना, I have highlighted certain points. That highlighted portion is only for your understanding, people. वो मतलब मॉड्यूल में बिल्कुल भी नहीं दिया है. It's for your understanding. अब आप सोच रहे हैं कि bro, why is this happening? Why this rule? Then you can read it. So that आपको याद रहेगा एग्जाम में, है ना? You are learning every single thing with logic and conceptual clarity. Okay, this is my assurance. So इसलिए I have extended the notes so that आप कोई भी चीज भूल नहीं पाओगे, कोई भी चीज रटा नहीं पाओगे. Everything will be a cake off for you. All right, perfect. Let's understand why this rule is made. When a company goes public, it issues shares to new investors. क्या हो गया? If existing convertible securities like bonds or warrants are converted into shares after the IPO, it increases the total number of shares, that is called dilution हो रहा है. This reduces the ownership percentage and the value of the shares for the new investors who just bought them in the IPO. SEBI ensures fairness by prohibiting IPOs until all such potential dilutive rights are resolved. यहां तक क्लियर है? और एक चीज बोलता हूं पीपल, और एक चीज बोलता हूं. तो सपोजिंग यू हैव बॉट 100 shares in the company. Total number of shares are, let's say 1000 shares हैं. ये सब यहां तक ठीक है. अभी तक कोई सिक्योरिटी कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ टू इक्विटी शेयर. द कंपनी इज जस्ट नाउ लिस्टिंग इट्स इक्विटी शेयर्स इन आईपीओ. 100 शेयर्स वो लिस्ट कर रहा है, जस्ट assumption 1000 शेयर्स है टोटल, उसमें से 100 शेयर्स आपने खरीदे हैं, which means you own 10% of shares. Perfect. 1000 shares कंपनी ने लिस्ट किया है, उसमें से you have bought 100 shares, that means you own 10% of the company. After a few years, अश्विनी ग्रोवर ने कन्वर्ट कर दिया अपना कन्वर्टेबल सिक्योरिटीज टू इक्विटी शेयर्स. अश्विनी ग्रोवर को मिलता है और 300 शेयर्स. ओके, जैसे ही मार्केट में 300 शेयर्स बढ़ गए पीपल, योर ओनरशिप इज गेटिंग रिड्यूस्ड, है ना, 1300. सो 10% कितना है 1300 का? 130 शेयर्स. That means If you want to purchase 10% of the company now, then you have to purchase additional 30 shares because of Ashnil Grover. Otherwise, you are holding 100 shares, still you are having 10% of the company. Just because Ashnil Grover ने अपना convertible securities exercise किया है, your ownership is getting diluted. This is what the concept is saying. ये सब नहीं होना चाहिए करके ये रूल बनाया है सेबी ने. Perfect people, perfect. 3 rules हमने पढ़े आज. कौन से rules? Convertible debt securities you can list even without listing your equity shares first. ये rule बोल रहा है. Next is minimum number of allottees should be 1000. Number 3 is convertible securities. No outstanding convertible securities. Next is people. Next is monitoring of proceeds. ये rule क्या बोलता है ना दोस्तों? Supposing B&G Private Limited has raised 100 crores from an IPO. B&G Private Limited ने 100 crores raise किया है from an IPO. Now what the rule is saying that अगर आपने 100 crores or more पैसा raise किया है from the IPO, you need to appoint bank or public financial institution for what? For monitoring क्या करना है? Monitoring the utilization of funds. What this rule is saying that if you have raised 100 crores or more from an IPO, you are supposed, you means B&G Private Limited, which is the issuer. The issuer should appoint a bank or a public financial institution for what? For monitoring the proceeds, like utilization of money. पैसा. Okay, वापस बोलता हूँ. Issuer should appoint a bank or a public financial institution for monitoring the utilization of funds. मतलब कैसे यूज कर रहे हो पैसा, कहाँ यूज कर रहे हो, कितना यूज कर रहे हो, कब तक यूज कर रहे हो, everything the bank or the public financial institution will monitor and report to SEBI on quarterly basis. People, every 3 months that bank or public financial institution should report to the SEBI regarding utilization of funds. कितना पैसा कहाँ रेस, कितना पैसा कहाँ खर्चा किया है, कितना खर्चा किया है आपने, कब तक खर्चा किया है, everything, every single thing should be disclosed to SEBI every quarterly basis. Now quarterly basis until and unless 95% of proceeds are utilized. जैसे ही मैंने बोला बैंक और पब्लिक फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन हैज टू report to SEBI regarding the utilization of funds, immediately you will assume, right, कि until and unless the entire proceeds are utilized, the bank or the public financial institution has to report to SEBI on quarterly basis. Simple assumption, you are absolutely right. But यहाँ पे point ये बोल रहा है until and unless 95% of the proceeds are utilized, you have to compulsorily report to SEBI on quarterly basis regarding utilization of funds. Clear है यहाँ तक? Supposing a company has raised 100 crores, until and unless 95 crores are utilized, that bank or a public financial institution has to report to SEBI on quarterly basis regarding the utilization of funds. यहाँ तक clear है? Perfect people, I am assuming you are understanding everything. In case you are not understanding anything, You can drop your doubts in the comment section. I will be happy to explain it further. Okay, कोई भी चीज रट्टा मार के नहीं पढ़ना people. Every single thing we are going to understand with conceptual clarity and logic. Okay, right now we have learned four other conditions. Number one was convertible debt securities, minimum number of allottees, convertible securities, monitoring of IPO proceeds. These are the mandatory rules. Now the last rule, which is not mandatory, which is at the option of the issuer, is, I will tell you one thing. You can you can take the screenshot of this mind map so that आपको पढ़ाई करते समय it will be very much helpful to you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, perfect. Now, which is the simplest example how I can explain you. Okay. Ashneer Grover का ही example है. Okay. Ashneer Grover is into which business? Let's say he is into fintech business, or let's say you own a furniture shop. You are a common businessman who deals with furniture. You have a business of furniture. You are into the business of furniture. Perfect. You are into the business of furniture. Ashni Grover is into the business of AI fintech. Fintech business. Okay, let's not complicate it. Now, I own a jewelry shop. I own a jewelry company named B&G Jewelers. I run a jewelry company called as B&G Jewelers. B&G Jewelers Private Limited. Now I am in the process of going into an IPO. Okay? Nobody knows what is my business about, what is the future of my business, for what purposes I am utilizing my money, if the proceeds if the money which I am raising, will it be utilized in the right places or not, where I am going to utilize the money, until what time will I get the money back. Nobody knows these concepts and all. Okay, nobody knows this knowledge. Now what I will do is, B&G Jeweler, now people, one logic, simple logic, if nobody knows about my business, will they invest in my IPO? Who will invest in an IPO? Who has got confidence in my company? और जिन्हें पता ही नहीं है मेरे business क्या है, किस चीज का है, will they invest in my IPO? Simple question. The answer is no, people. Nobody will invest in your IPO unless they know something about your business, your future business prospects, how your business will be after 5 to 10 years down the line. Okay? Until unless ये knowledge होगा, कोई भी IPO में invest नहीं करेगा आपकी company में. So what I will do is, I have got two options. Number one option is, I will tell everything in the offer document. Offer document is a document in detail about my company, my business, why am I raising money from public, कहाँ use करने वाला हूँ, कितना time use करने वाला हूँ. Every single thing is detailed in the offer document, which is submitted to SEBI. SEBI publish करेगा to the people. Now I am the owner of this company. I will tell anything in the offer document. I am utilizing this money for this purpose. My business will grow in 5 to 10 times in just 2 years. I will tell anything optimistic चीज है. I will be obviously very much optimistic about my business, right? I will obviously want you to invest into my business. For that I can tell anything. है ना? I've got two choices. Number one is offer document. will you still trust me if अगर हर चीज मैं offer document में बोलता हूँ? People, the answer is still no, because you know I am running the business. I will say anything in the offer document. Next is, my next option is, I can appoint credit rating agencies Credit rating agencies are the organizations who have got tremendous amount of data about every single person in terms of finance. Okay, in terms of finance. Supposing if you Ashwini Grover wants to give me a loan, what Ashwini Grover will do is Ashwini Grover will appoint credit rating agencies to find out that am I capable enough to repay the loan, am I capable enough to utilize the loan properly. ये credit rating agency बताएगा. Now B&G Jewelers Private Limited, what it does is it will hire an independent credit rating agencies that will obviously perform independently. He will appoint an independent credit rating agencies for what? To evaluate my business in detail. Okay, I will appoint an independent credit rating agencies are obviously independent. Okay, they are not answerable or accountable to anybody. So credit rating agencies, if I tell them, bro, why don't you please evaluate my business, research into my business, market में क्या चल रहा है, क्या नहीं चल रहा है, based on supply demand, to do thorough research into my business, I will give you all the data I will provide you. Okay, I will give you all the data I can provide you. With that data and with your research, perform in-depth analysis of my IPO, जहां पे he will analyze in detail why am I raising the money, for what purposes I am raising the money, what are the current business scenario, every single thing he will analyze in great detail, people, and then he will rate my IPO out of 5. If my IPO grading, if I get a grade of 4 in my IPO grading, that means I am an amazing company to invest in. Okay, if the credit rating agency says, bro, you deserve 4 out of 5 in your IPO grading based on our research and analysis, which will be published which will be published publicly. Sorry, obviously it will be published publicly. So as soon as the public knows that P&G Jewelers have got your grading of 4 out of 5, that means the company is an amazing company and a safe investment. Supposing if the credit rating agency rate me 2 out of 5, that means I am a very poor investment opportunity. That means my business is very vague. I might not flourish as expected. I might fail. I might not succeed. यही चीज बोल रहा है IPO grading. You can take the screenshot, people. You can take the screenshot. यहाँ तक लेना आपको screenshot. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Now what this point is saying is, people, I need to appoint, I may appoint, sorry, it's not a mandatory, it's a provisional. Okay. The issuer may not, may opt to, the issuer may opt to obtain an IPO grading from one or more credit rating agencies registered with SEBI. Credit rating agencies are registered with SEBI. An IPO grading. What is an IPO grading? IPO grading is an assessment of the quality of the IPO based on factors like company's financial health, the proposed use of proceeds, market conditions. It helps investors make more informed decisions. All right. This is not mandatory, people. Mandatory nahi hai, okay? If a company genuinely wants investors confidence, then it can go for an IPO related grading, otherwise it is not mandatory. Let's understand what is IPO grading. IPO grading is essentially an evaluation or assessment of what? Of company's initial public offering done by CRA like CRISIL or ICRA. The grading reflects the overall quality and risk of investing in that particular IPO. Investors will clearly know what is the risk and return if I invest in that IPO. This grade is typically given based on several factors, including company's financial health, proposed use of proceeds, market conditions. जहाँ पे financial health में it would analyze how financially stable and profitable is the company. Are they making profits or are they struggling with losses? This helps in determining whether investing in the company is a safe bet or not. Proposed use of proceeds. How does the company plan to use the money it raises from the IPO? Are they using it to expand, pay off debt, or invest in new projects? A well thought out plan can ensure that the company has clear goals and is not just raising money to survive. The overall market environment and how the company fits within that. Is it a good time for the IPO given the market trends, or is the company trying to go public during a downturn? Okay, these are all the factors that will be taken into consideration when analyzing an IPO by credit rating agencies. Why does it matter to investors? Think of IPO grading as a report card for the IPO. Think of IPO grading as a report card for the IPO. A good grade indicates a safer investment and helps investors feel confident in their decision to buy shares. Or lower grade suggests higher risk and investors may be cautious before proceeding. In short, IPO grading is a tool that helps investors gauge the quality of an IPO before investing. The higher the grade, the more likely the IPO is seen as a strong investment opportunity. Perfect, people, perfect. All right. So till now, we have learned 5 conditions. What are those 5 other conditions? We'll start from the last. Last is IPO grading. उसके पहले monitoring issue proceeds. Before that, convertible securities. Before that, minimum number of allottees. Before that, convertible debt securities. All right. Before that, 4 conditions: net tangible asset, pre-tax average operating profit, net worth, name change criteria. If these 4 conditions are not satisfied, the company will go for an IPO through qualified institutional buyers. If they give them 75% of the shares, remaining 25% should be given to public. 75% should be subscribed by qualified institutional buyers, plus the price should be based on book building process. All right, till now we have learned it, people. All right. Yes, people. Yes, yes, yes. So what all topics have we covered till now? ये हो गया, eligible for IPO हो गया, net tangible assets is done, pre-tax operating profit is done, net worth is done, name change is done, alternative route is done, convertible debt security is done, minimum allottees is done, convertible securities is done, monitoring proceeds is done, IPO grading is done. Next is types of pricing, offer document, face value, and the issue price, which we are going to learn in the next lecture, people. The next lecture is the last lecture of this chapter, okay? All right, people. I hope you found this session amazing and interesting. I hope it helped you a lot. If you found this video helpful, please share it to those who may need it. That's all from my side. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.